a voi il benvenuto direttamente dalla griglia di partenza del circuito di Valencia.
Are you ready? You bet we are. Welcome to the Circuit Ricardo Tormo here in Valencia in Spain for the first round of the Ferrari Challenge 2023. Our Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers lining up on the grid, ready to contest their first race of what will be a magnificent season this year, that is for sure. This Valencia circuit, very, very technical, and the conditions are such that they are perfect for us to talk about it. Probably a little less perfect if you're in the heat of a 488 Challenge Evo as a racing driver, because the ambient temperature here is glorious. As you can see, there's a little bit of harmless high cloud in the almost completely blue sky. And this is what the city center of Valencia is like. Enjoy. the mix of contemporary architecture with some of the history, just molds itself together really rather beautifully. Here's our calendar for 2023 then. Valencia in Spain, Misano in Italy, Spielberg in Austria, then it is Le Mans in support of the 24-hour race. Then we're off to Portugal with Estoril, Belgium with Spa-Francorchamps, and the Finale Mondiale this year in Tuscany in Italy at Mugello. This is where we are then, and we urge you to become part of the Ferrari family by following us on @Ferrari Races. Be part of this wonderful family and this wonderful racing series. What a shot that is. The air temperature, as you can see, 23 degrees. Now, the track temperature is 31 degrees. We have around about 6 kilometers per hour of little gusts of wind that will not impact or affect our drivers as they go racing this afternoon. And a brilliant number of Trofeo Pirelli cars out there on track to enjoy the race this afternoon and, of course, try and propel themselves onto a podium. And we're making our way through the grid right now. Not only myself here in the studio, Nico's here in the studio, but down there on the grid and maybe in the pit lane as well during the course of the race. Delighted to welcome Ludovica. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dave. Good afternoon, Nico, and good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to Valencia for the first round of Ferrari Challenge Europe. This is the 31st edition of Ferrari, a journey for Ferrari, which begins here in Valencia at the circuit of Ricardo Tormo. This circuit is one of the most popular all over the Spain. It's a very circuit to racing and to prepare the riders, the drivers, and the cars. There is a great emotions and atmosphere. The temperature, as you said before, is lovely to drive, and as you've seen, all the 488 Challenge Evo are lined up behind me. The 488 Challenge Evo was the protagonist of the latest season, and is a car very lovely by all the drivers for his racing look and for his reliability. And as you can see from the tires, continues the partnership between Ferrari and Pirelli. Pirelli in the latest season is specifically projected and realized all the tires from this trophy. All the riders are ready and more excited for this first round. Dave, back to you, and we see after for more emotions.
Thank you so much, and we of course have two categories within the one here. They're all Trofeo Pirelli drivers, but if you see a red sunstrip across the top of the windscreen of the 488 Challenge Evo, that means they are a Pirelli driver. If you see a white strip across the top of the windshield, they are a Pirelli AM driver. Pole position for Pirelli goes to Eliseo Dono following qualifying earlier on, and pole position for the Pirelli AM drivers is last year's Copa Shell champion Franz Engstler, who has been elevated to Pirelli AM this year. He did a very, very good job putting it pole position, and in fairness, P2 in the qualifying overall, so has done a very, very good job indeed. And there is Philippe Pret, who goes from P6 on the grid. Now he's a Trofeo Pirelli AM driver, has raced not only in the European Series but in the Italian Series when we had that, has raced in Asia Pacific and North America as well. He's done a lot of racing. And this is Max Mugelli for the CDP Eureka competition team. Really, really good driver is Max Mugelli, and a lovely character as well. And his surname actually is also where he lives, Mugello, rather than Mugelli, but Max Mugelli then hoping to do great things in the race today and has done a very good job in qualifying. He goes P3 in class, that's P4 overall, as the drone shot then takes us down a few of the rows of the cars lined up on the grid, ready to do battle. As always, a 30-minute sprint race in the Ferrari Challenge and the 488 Challenge Evo, as once again we go back to Ludovica.
Okay, we are here with the poleman for this first round, Eliseo Dono. What do you expect, Eliseo, from the race?
I don't know, but I'm very happy for my performance in quali lap. So now I'm focused to the start and push. That's it.
Thank you for your time. Enjoy it.
He's going to push. As we look at the track then, there are some 14 turns across the 4.005 kilometers of the circuit Riccardo Tormo. 9 of them are left and 5 of them are right.
I'm glad to be here and it starts. I think we prepared a lot over the winter and now I think we look forward to have some fun over the season, and at the end of the season we see what we do. This is the season. I went up a second the next class, and this is where the season where I have to compete and to show my abilities I can do. And so it was only a small party at home with my family, and it was fine. So.
È una bellissima esperienza, un motivo anche di orgoglio, un grande onore per me. Che cosa mi aspetto per questa prima stagione? Sicuramente imparare il più possibile per essere lì nelle posizioni che contano già sin da subito.
It really means to be in a family, in a good family, and also a part of racing, which is absolutely the top. You can't make it better than with Ferrari. It's really nice, and again, with a nice family. Of course, everyone wants to be on the podium. It's also my goal to really try to be on the podium as many times as possible. It's a very nice car, good balance of the car. Good engine, and also you really can drive in a good way for good track limits.
I ran 2 races this year in winter series, and so I decided to start with the Ferrari Challenge. The car is fantastic. I'm not a professional driver now, so I drive only for fun. And the car is very easy to drive, with a lot of power, a lot of torque. The brakes are very hard, and so it's very easy to drive this car. And I will do a great thing in Ferrari Challenge Shell IM.
Thank you so much for some of our drivers there that we saw from the Copa Shell driver base. And my apologies for jumping across Alexander Nussbaumer at the beginning of that segment. As you can see, some spectators have made their way to this wonderful circuit Riccardo Tormo to enjoy the racing. And we are but, I suppose, 30 minutes from the city centre of Valencia. So it's a great place to be if you've got any motorsport interest at all. And lots of people have come to join this fantastic weekend of racing, as we could just see the Hanno Laskowski car moving out of our picture there. He goes from P3 in class for Emil Frey, and our camera making its way down the grid, as you can see, and the cars, these wonderful 488 Challenge Evos lined up, ready to do battle in this 30-minute sprint race, the back end of the number 3 car of Max Mugelli. We are ready to go racing in Spain. The sense of anticipation really builds now as the Richard Mille safety car leads the cars away. Here's the grid in full for you. Eliseo Dono, pole position for Trofeo Pirelli. A brilliant quali from Franz Engstler. He goes alongside, and he is a Pirelli AM driver. DeMarco and Mugelli are on the second row of the grid ahead of Ladniak. He's going to be one to watch from P5, and Philippe Pret P6. Hanno Laskowski and Owen go P7 and P8 ahead of Rossi and Del Favaro. Then they're on the 5th row of the grid, P9 and P10. Lucky Kerr, great to see him in the European Series. He goes from P11. Ericsson is alongside P12. Marzialetti from P13 and Hamdi from P14. Berg Sorensen goes from P15 with Fleming P16 ahead of Haller and Arifpour, then all going for this 30-minute race then in the Ferrari Challenge. A great grid of cars. Eliseo Dono, Franz Engstler, Dennis DeMarco, Max Mugelli, Simeon Ladniak, Philippe Pret, Hanno Laskowski, James Owen, Nicola Rossi, Danilo Del Favaro, Lucky Kerr, Kim Eriksson, Gianmarco Marzialetti, Mohamed Hamdi, Andreas Berg Sorensen, Thomas Fleming, Nick Haller and Armin Arifpour, to give them all the name checks that they so richly deserve. Weaving from side to side, trying to generate some temperature into the tyres. Here at this circuit Riccardo Tormo, as you can see from the grandstands, it's very much a stadium of a circuit. And having walked the circuit last night, we know just how technical this 4.005 kilometer circuit is. Overtaking, it's at a premium here, if I'm honest with you, but the drivers will take their chances, that's for sure. There are a couple of places where it's more likely than not they will have a go. One of those is potentially going into turn number 1, which of course will be the funnel after the start. Nico, I've waxed lyrical. I haven't even introduced you. Good afternoon from Germany. He's here to help us in English comms. Wow, what a season we have in prospect, friend.
Yeah, definitely. And this is one of those races where coming into the season, you don't quite know what to expect. The drivers don't necessarily know what to expect. And so there is extra anticipation, extra nervousness potentially. It'll all come to a head in turn 1. Hopefully everybody will get through there cleanly, but this is one to watch for sure.
The all-new Richard Mille's safety car, of course, is that wonderful Ferrari 296 that is bringing the cars around there, being driven by Andrea then. And here we go on board with Thomas Fleming then for HRO in FF Corsa. The cars will line up side by side in grid formation then. The safety car will peel off into the pit lane, and it will be the responsibility of Alessio Dono and Franz Engstler to control the pace of the rolling start then. They run downhill into the final turn. Hold on to your hats, we are ready to go racing. Well, 1 and 2 may have jostled for positions very early on then. Let's see if race control takes a look at that start as they head down into turn number 1. Alessio Dono with the inside line, Franz Engstler on the outside. Max Mugelli also looking at the opportunity to try and take some advantage in the early stages of this. Meantime, a big battle going on between Ladniak and also Philippe Pret. And there is Philippe Pret with the APM livery down the side of his car. So first lap of asking then, and Alessio Dono doing everything he needed to, but got very sideways there and lost a bit of time. Was Franz Engstler able to get a little bit closer? The age difference between Alessio Dono and Franz Engstler is enormous. Alessio is a real young hotshot charger. Franz Engstler, well, very experienced racer, that's for sure. As the cars settle down there into the second sector and heading towards the third sector of the lap now. It is, as we were with Dono, Engstler, Mugelli and Ladniak, who I said was going to be one to keep an eye on. He's up to P4 and is a potential danger man here. Him and Philippe Pret having a real battle over that P4 position overall in the race, and this, as I say, is just the opening lap. Now you can see that Alessio Dono is just beginning to stretch his legs a little bit away from Franz Engstler. Max Mugelli needs to get by Franz Engstler because Max Mugelli is, of course, racing in Trofeo Pirelli. Franz Engstler is a Pirelli AM driver. Lots of new drivers, lots of new liveries. It might take us a moment to get our heads around that as we continue to bring you all the action from race 1. But all the cars complete lap 1, and as I said, Nico, Alessio Dono stretching his margin to 1.2 seconds as they cross the timing line.
Yeah, definitely. He looks like a man on a mission, and there is an overtake on the inside, and that is the number.
That was Mohammed Hamdi going up the inside, I'm sure. For Ez Al Arab Automotive. He's one of the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers, and I think getting past the number 9 car of Danilo Del Favaro, I believe.
Yeah, I think you called that perfectly. Yeah, now obviously Franz Engstler is out of position in terms of being among the Pirelli drivers, but certainly not in terms of his pace, and he's really trying to keep with Alessio Dono. Now, he doesn't have to battle too much with the Pirelli drivers around him, but they afford him a great cushion towards the back. So that's his comfort right now. And he certainly doesn't look like he's slowing down. Dennis DeMarco overtaking Philippe Pret, and that means behind Franz Engstler there is Mugelli, Ladniak and DeMarco, 3 Pirelli drivers, bumper to bumper to bumper. This will be for 2 of the podium positions potentially.
Absolutely, podiums, of course, you will see will be for Pirelli drivers and Pirelli AM drivers. They each get their own podium, of course they do, because they're classified independently, which makes Franz Engstler's qualifying even more remarkable this morning as he was able to really take it to Alessio Dono. So we're watching the all-yellow number 21 car of Simeon Ladniak. I've seen racing in other categories. I know what a good driver he is, and I have to say he's hit the ground running with the Ferrari Challenge this weekend, driving for the Gomes Scuderia GT team. He's currently running P4 in the race overall, but it is P3 in class, so he's in a podium position, and target sights for him, definitely Max Mugelli, who's running P2 in class currently.
Yeah, there is another overtake that we just saw developing coming into turn number 1, as you identified. That is one of the crucial points.
Hanno Laskowski is really lining up here, and he's lining up Philippe Pret. Now, Hanno Laskowski is in the number 85 car. This is a real battle for P2 in Trofeo Pirelli. Hanno Laskowski, who was a supreme driver last year, Philippe Pret, who's one of the more experienced Ferrari Challenge drivers, and of course both of them are being pushed very hard by Thomas Fleming, new to the Ferrari Challenge this year for HRO in FF Corsa. So Thomas doing a very good job and getting to the inside of Hanno Laskowski. So as I said, overtaking is difficult here at the circuit Ricardo Tormo, but there you can see Thomas Fleming proving that it can be done because he's hung Hanno Laskowski out to dry there, Nico.
Yeah, he gets involved in that battle among Pirelli M drivers. He will try to dispatch off Philippe Pret as well and try to mix it up with the likes of Dennis DeMarco and Ladniak in front of them. 25 minutes, there is still lots of time for him to catch up with those drivers and fight for that podium position. Things have settled down a little bit. Alessio Doni is really getting ahead, and here is the start once again for you.
Yes, they all head in towards turn number 1, and Alessio Dono, by dint of being a Pirelli driver, bear in mind he's got the red sunstrip across the top of his windscreen. Franz Engstler with a white sunstrip across the top of the windscreen because he was the best of the AM drivers, and he slotted in, but you could see Alessio Dono on cold tyres was really having to control the car through the early corners of this lap, and he did that very well. And there is Philippe Pret having that real battle that was going on with Simeon Ladniak, and there was lots going on, but I have to say, from a start point of view, Nico, everything clean, tidy, and very respectful. Certainly respectable is the gap that Alessio Dono has built up now, which is some 4 seconds over Franz Engstler.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. From the start, James Owen was one of the drivers who went wide a number of times in avoidance, it seemed, so he lost quite a few positions, but everybody came through those turns intact but with no major carnage, and that's always good to see because you always hate a driver's race to be compromised early on. But yeah, Alessio Dono, 4 seconds up the road, and Ladniak and Mugelli, they look, and this is this couple that we see here, this might be a battle developing for P2 in class, P3 overall.
Yeah, at the moment, Max Mugelli is able to show a clean pair of heels to Ladniak, who of course has got Dennis DeMarco almost up his trumpet behind him. So, and this is always the difficult position, isn't it, for someone like Ladniak, who's in that position, trying to gain P2, but what he doesn't want to do is lose P3 either, you know, being hunted at the same time.
Yeah, and there you can see that Thomas Fleming has made quick work of Philippe Pret, so to say, because he's already out the picture. There you can see him in the background, up the road, so he is chasing that triple of Mugelli, Ladniak and DeMarco. And there you can see him just moving out of shot on the red car.
If I may say, the one to perhaps keep an eye on here is the all-black number 24 car of Lucky Kira, because Lucky is a 2-time British UK champion in the Ferrari Challenge, and he is only 1 position away from banking a podium here. To get that podium, he would need to get by the blue car of Hanno Laskowski ahead of him. Don't rule Lucky Kira out of this race. He is one demon of a driver, Nico, and by dint of having taken 2 titles in the Ferrari Challenge, you know that. And he's going to be one to watch here. Now, at the moment, you can see that Philippe Pret seems to have it all completely under control over Hanno Laskowski, but certainly Laskowski is closer to Philippe Pret than maybe Lucky is to Laskowski at the moment. And of course, Lucky Kira is also going to have the recharged, rejuvenated Nicolo Rossi, who had such a good season last season, Nico, who's come back into the Ferrari Challenge for 2023 with renewed vigor and renewed optimism and confidence, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. One storyline that is developing and that we will have an eye on is track limits, and we see on our timing screen that several drivers are warned consistently over track limits, and the rule here is 3 track limits, then you get your final warning, and after that it's a 5-second penalty which escalates with further infringements. So the likes of Dennis DeMarco, for example, been warned twice across a single lap, and that doesn't bode well for the remaining 21 and half a minute of this race.
Now Hanno Laskowski's really reeling in. Philippe Pret, is he going to dive to the inside here going into turn number 1? It's really difficult to make it work, and he wasn't really quite close enough to be able to do that. But he has seen off the threat from Lucky Kira immediately. Here comes Hanno Laskowski. He just showed his face to the inside line. He wasn't quite close enough, but what he is doing, Nico, he's trying to break the confidence of Philippe Pret ahead of him. So this battle is going on. Look at the gap evolution over the last 3 laps. Now, what he wants to do is maintain this pressure on Philippe Pret. Philippe Pret to just lose concentration momentarily, make the tiniest of mistakes, and like a viper ready to pounce upon its prey, Hanno Laskowski would be through there. Now, of course, the more those two fight, it plays nicely into the hands of Lucky Kira and Nicola Rossi, who are also able to get a little bit closer to that battle that is going on for P2 in Trofeo Pirelli Am.
Yeah, those 4 drivers virtually guaranteed to offer some great drama over the remaining 20 minutes, and you described that strategy perfectly. And by not really attacking, but just showing that you're there, that means he doesn't quite compromise his lap. And that is the number 17 car, if I recall that correctly. No, 37, sorry.
That's Mohamed Hamdi. And Mohamed Hamdi is under some pressure now from the hard-charging James Owen, and Del Favaro is right behind as well. And then it's Marzialetti in that mix as well. This is the battle that's going on for P6 in Trofeo Pirelli Am, and what a battle that is shaping up to be.
Indeed, and James Owen, as we said, he lost quite a few positions at the start and now trying to come back, but again, has to have his eyes also in the rear-view mirror every now and then. In the meantime, out front, Eliseo Dono 7.5 seconds up the road. Franz Engstler, very respectable, not holding up the Pirelli drivers behind him.
No.
He's perfectly holding his own. And Thomas Fleming and Dennis DeMarco, that's one battle that's that's really heating up. They were doing 1/100th of a second for P4 in Pirelli, or P4 and 5 actually. So this is heating up nicely as well.
We will see how that develops. The first third of the race duration now is done. We always race to a 30-minute time limit. And you can see as Thomas Fleming then, we ride on board right now.
And I think he has done the overtake just as we switch to that battle, which means he is now in P4 in class, P5 overall. And that means Szymon Ladniak is next in his target sights as we look behind him at the DeMarco car.
Often, and we've seen this over many, many years and talking about many, many races, when someone gets nerfed out at the beginning of a race, sometimes the aggression and the bit between the teeth that they get as a result of that means that they drive even better in terms of trying to make up the spaces and places that they've lost. I think we're seeing good examples of that during the course of this race. There you can see the car going through the, past the timing line. And all the engineers on the pit wall hanging over the pit wall, absolutely, really propelling their drivers on. Of course, it is a team sport, and the drivers rely on their engineers, of course. Driver engineers and coaches are on the radio to our drivers at all times as well, just really egging and urging them on as we follow the all-yellow car of Szymon Ladniak then, who is driving for Gome and Scuderia GT. Next in his target sights, he's Max Mugelli, but I have to say, Max Mugelli is controlling his own pace really, really well, and at the moment, his P2 does not look under threat from this man that we're watching in the number 21 car of Szymon Ledniak. So Eliseo Dono, P1, and Franz Engstler is P2. That's in the race overall, but they are P1 Pirelli and P1 in Pirelli Am. Here's Philippe Pret then and Hanno Laskowski. Now, interestingly, because Lucky Kira is having to protect himself from Nicola Rossi that's right behind, it's meant that these two little battles have continued to go on almost independently, you know. Let's go back down into the garages and the pit lane right now.
Hi everyone, we are here out box of Franz Engstler, and with me there is the team manager of Franz. Manuel, Franz have made a good start. How it's going?
No, I mean, Franz started from the first row, and still he is second overall, leading clearly his class, and as well Simon, our young one, first race in Ferrari Challenge. He is third in his class, so we can be at the moment quite happy.
Okay, and what is the strategy did you decide to bring on the track today?
We have basically no strategy to make, no mistakes, clean start, and then have a nice race. So, yeah, strategy is always depending on how the start is going, and so the first lap was quite nice, and now it's keeping the position and bring it home.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Talking to Manuel Reuter then, who of course is team boss of Engstler Motorsport, and Manuel himself has got something of a burgeoning mantelpiece of race trophies, Nico, one of your countrymen and hugely successful.
Oh yes, I mean DTM history without Manuel Reuter is impossible to write, and we just saw a great attempt from Nicola Rossi against Lucky Cara, and a good defense by Lucky Cara as well. So the two are as they were, but they had a very, very nice side-by-side battle. And talking about side-by-side battles, almost side-by-side here between Ladniak and Fleming. And Fleming is really pushing towards that podium. Half race distance done, only, I dare say. And that means 15 more minutes remaining for us to watch.
Sorry, Nico. Thomas Fleming taken to the outside of Simon Ladniak, and very nearly driving all the way around the outside of the final turn to pick up that position. I have to say, Thomas Fleming is driving like a thing possessed right now. Absolutely brilliant driving from them. Enjoying this so much. And of course, there you can see the lap evolution over the last 3 laps. And you can see that Max Mugelli, where once he'd got a little bit of a comfort cushion between those vying for position behind, all of a sudden that's gone. The reason for that is Simon Ladniak has thought, Christmas, I need to get the hurry up here, because very much Thomas Fleming is on a mission here, and we ride on board with the FF Corsa driver right now. So these three are bunching up nicely. I remind you that it is a battle going on for podium places here. It's P2 and P3 in class, Nico.
Yeah, P2, P3, P4, and Max Mugelli is in that enviable P2 position, but he really has to be careful, because one mistake might mean he's down into P4 all of a sudden. And in a way, Fleming has the easiest role, because he can watch both of them. And
I'll tell him you said that.
I said in a way. There is a time penalty for Dennis DeMarco, 5 seconds for track limits. And I was wondering, looking at our timing screen, we saw lots of warnings, and that is the first one to come to a head. And 5 seconds for Dennis DeMarco doesn't necessarily take him out of position currently, but it certainly ruins any chance for the moment to move up the order.
And there you can see confirmation of that race control issued time penalty to Dennis DeMarco. As Nico says, he's running in P5 at the moment, and therefore it's not going to impact his position on track. And the time penalty issued by Claudio Garavini, our race director, as Thomas Fleming doing a really good job here, chasing down Simon Ladniak. Ladniak, in turn, is trying to get on terms with Max Mugelli. And these three, it's been fascinating watching them because the battle switches. It switches between Max Mugelli being under pressure to Ladniak being under pressure, and then back again. And all of a sudden now, they've got backmarking cars playing into the mix as well. Very good driving from that car that was out of position, and that was Nick Haller, I'm sure. And Nick Haller indicating and getting out of the way of those drivers that were coming through. Well done. Brilliant driving, Nico.
Yeah, definitely very conscientious and fair driving, as the atmosphere in the paddock is very fair overall and in general, and in this specific place. And there you can see Fleming on the inside. Did he make the move? Yes, he did. Ladniak overtakes him. That means P4 overall, P3 in class. And if he can have his wish, it's Max Mugelli up the next turn.
I so hope we get a replay of that. Whilst we had it live in the onboard camera, I think for us to really appreciate that overtake, we need to see it from a different angle. But well done, Thomas Fleming. He'd been threatening, hadn't he, for lap after lap after lap, and then he made it stick. And I'll tell you what, Max Mugelli, watch out, because Fleming is on his way here. We've got just under 12 minutes of the race remaining here, and this battle for P2 then that continues to rage, and now it's between Max Mugelli and Thomas Fleming.
And the reason it's for P2 is Eliseo Dotto is 10 seconds up the road from Franz Engstler, 15 seconds up the road from Max Mugelli, so he can basically go to Barcelona, do a lap of the track there and come back and still emerge as the leader. In the AMs, it is Franz Engstler, obviously, then it's Philipp Pratt and Hanno Laskowski, then Lucky Kara and Nicola Rossi. Those are the top 5 in the AMs, but let's go back to this battle.
Look at this. Max Micheli is really having to stick his elbows out here and try and make the car a little bit wider than it is to try and prevent Thomas Fleming from coming through. We're on board once again with Thomas Fleming. He goes to the outside now. It's a long way around the outside, but it gives him the perfect trajectory on the inside now. But he wasn't quite close enough to put it on the inside, or is he going to do it now, Nico? Yes, he is. He set that up perfectly. That was a slam dunk of a move. Absolutely brilliant. I'm almost convinced to say that he was selling Max Mugelli a little bit of a dummy.
Yeah, it looked like it. And I mean, you have to really, looking at the race now, you've got Alessio Donno, who's leading the race by a country mile.
Yes.
But also you've got Thomas Fleming, who moved up through the entirety of the grid. If you had to award the drive of the day to this point, you'd be hard-pressed to pick one over the other, because both have been equally impressive.
Well, yes, absolutely right. Well, Thomas Fleming, we take our collective hats off to you. Brilliant, brilliant driving. And now, car number 27, Dennis DeMarco, is going to get a drive-through penalty, Nico, for continued track limits penalties, I can only assume, or track limits excursions.
Yeah, we talked about escalating penalties, and that's exactly how that looks like after the first 5-second penalty. That 5-second penalty, that's the good part, is removed.
Yeah.
However, you get the drive-through in its place, and that certainly doesn't bode well. Ooh, 9 minutes 45 seconds remaining, and now
Just look, sorry for interrupting you. Thomas Fleming has built a margin over Max Mugelli in the space of 1 point something of a lap. Of an incredible look, he's disappearing up the road. Now, we've only got 9 minutes of the race remaining. Alessio Donno, as Nico quite rightly said, is, you know, not even a bus journey away from Barcelona. So advantageous is his lead. This pace from Thomas Fleming for H.R. Owen, UK driver, has been awesome.
Absolutely, and you know, he will be thrilled with his pace. He'll be less thrilled with his qualifying result, because, you know, what could have been is very obvious, because Alessio Donno is out on his own. Thomas Fleming might feel this evening that, well, if I nail qualifying tomorrow,
yes,
I stand a fighting chance of taking you in. Alessio Donno, 9 minutes remaining. And there is another battle, and that's once again the drivers of Del Favero and Hamdi, who we've seen before, and they're very, very close, and you can see how the gap is seesawing. And this is for P7 and 8 in the AMs, but don't tell that to the drivers, because they'll be fighting for every little bit of position.
I have to say, I'm so impressed with Thomas Fleming. I'm so impressed with Alessio Donno. Alessio Donno, of course, driving for Radici Automobili. And, I mean, you know, he showed his prowess in qualifying, Nico. There's no question about that. And he's just been able to convert that into a fantastic pace on track as well. There you can see the number 12 car going through of... that is the car that's driven by Gianmarco Marzialetti, who's currently running P9 in the Trofeo Pirelli AM category. And I can see that in comes the number 27 car to take a drive-through penalty. And that, of course, means that any opportunity in that race is kind of nullified, Nico, isn't it? But, you know, the rule of track limits is ruled with a rod of iron, and quite rightly. Now, this battle for P2, it was hotter than a hot thing a few laps ago. It's returning to its heat now with Philippe Pratt and Hanno Laskowski.
Yeah, and you can think that Hanno Laskowski maybe preserved his tires a little, because you can't attack non-stop throughout a 30-minute race. And now with 7 minutes remaining, maybe Hanno thinks that now is the right time to turn up the wick once again and really try and make the overtake, get it done, and then emerge in P2 from this race. It's not quite now or never time, but we're getting there with less than 7 minutes remaining. And obviously, shout out to Franz Engstler, who was, remember, was escalated or elevated from Coppa Shell last year, where he was dominant. And nobody told him that he's in a different class and the competition is stiffer, because, I mean, he is personally 24 seconds up the road from anyone in his class. So, I mean, just breathtaking.
Absolutely. He's got Manuel Reuter as team boss, and he's got his son Luca Engstler as team bottom kicker as well. So he really doesn't need the motivation, Nico, to be truthful with you. I mean, Franz Engstler has got a rich heritage of racing success, and it just proves how competitive and how important the Ferrari Challenge is. So we're watching Del Favero and Hamdi as this you certainly described as one of those battles that's been going on and on and on. And you can see from our timing screen that Nicola Rossi has got past Lucky Kira. That was another battle that was going on for much of the race. So Nicola Rossi, who we certainly were very favourable in terms of our comments of Nicola Rossi last year. He was such an improved driver, Nico, and that improvement clearly is continuing.
Yeah, definitely. Took his first podium, which was a win directly at Budapest last year, and I think the entire paddock was very happy for him because
such a nice guy. Yeah,
and he'd been working on his racecraft, so he really felt like that was really deserved because it was nothing like a fluke whatsoever.
Incidentally, I'm just seeing that there's a time penalty that is going to be issued for James Owen. That's for track limit excursions, and a drive-through penalty for car number 27, which is Dennis DiMarco. Is that not a repeat of the same? Surely he hasn't got another one.
I don't think so, but I'm not quite sure. I did see it disappear from our timing screen, but we'll find out. And in any event,
the funny thing is, we have seen in the past when a driver has come out through serving a drive-through penalty, they've crossed the white line and they've immediately got another one. But we didn't see that, so it is conjecture on our part at the moment, so it might not be right.
Well, we'll find out. In any event, Dennis DiMarco's race, he's already at the bottom of the Pirelli driver, so not going to change the outcome of the race significantly.
Well, he has just come into the pit lane, Nico.
Oh, well then, there is something to that probably. Szymon Ladniak and Max Mugelli, one of the closest battles aside from the one that we're seeing, half a second apart. And remember, this is for...
And that was pressure and pressure alone that sent the Mohammed Hamdi car around. There was no contact between the two of them. It was the pressure had been maintained, and eventually it paid off, Nico.
Well, yeah, certainly did for Del Favero, who inherits almost that P7 now, and let's have a look at that. You can just see
the car gets out of shape going into the turn. It wasn't the optimum line. The back end looks at a good avoidance there by Danilo, to be fair. Not a whisper of paint was exchanged between the cars. Perfectly clean, and spinning around like Kylie Minogue with a hit song from whenever. There is Luca Engstler to the right-hand side of your picture. He is son of Franz Engstler. You could also see Manuel Reuter, the Engstler boss, in the background as well. Their protégés out there doing a very good job. Franz Engstler running in P1 for Trofeo Pirelli Am, and Simon Ladniak running P4 for Pirelli. But P1 in Trofeo Pirelli is Alessio Dono, who has extended his lead over Franz Engstler to 12.193 seconds, which is almost sufficient time for him to be wallpapering the inside of the motorhome that's parked up in the paddock.
And based on trajectory, it looks like it's going to be this lap and two more potentially. Alessio Dono might have the luxury of slowing down at the end of the next lap and making sure it's a last, but right now, I mean, it's a dominant performance. Thomas Fleming, in fairness, has been the quickest on the tarmac for the last few laps. In fairness, do we think that Alessio Dono maybe is not pushing to his absolute maximum right now based on his lead? That's probably a fair assumption as we take a look at the Amin Arifpour car, and there is our AM leader, Franz Engstler. I mean...
He's such a lovely guy as well. I mean, he's a great racing driver, but he's a really nice guy. And I have to say, the driving conduct from some of those backmarking drivers that we've seen today in Ferrari Challenge has been exemplary, Nico.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen it many times in the past, but today is a picture-perfect example of how you treat someone who's just quicker. And you can almost see him smile, can't you?
Yes, but I've just noticed the zip on the front of his crash helmet, which of course is painted. It isn't a real zip.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. You silly fool. Franz Engstler, look at the gap he's got over Philippe Pret. It's 25.2 seconds, Nico, and Philippe Pret and Hanno Laskowski they've been trading times, and there you can see them as they run down the start-finish straight again. Hanno Laskowski, what's he going to have?
2 more laps.
This lap plus 1 more, yes?
Absolutely, and that means it's still not last chance saloon, but it's getting close. And there's only 1 more chance down the start-finish straight, which is the optimum place or the prototypical place for making the overtake. But he's now really, really close.
Love that word, prototypical.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure. So Philippe Pret has driven really well, though. He's had to defend for a lot of the time. He's such an experienced Ferrari Challenge racer, Nico, isn't he? He's able to make that car wide enough when he needs to in a perfectly fair way. You know, he's protecting his track position, as indeed is his right to do so. Hanno Laskowski, though, has chased and chased and chased. Podium place for both of them if it all stays this way, but of course P2 for Hanno would be better than P3. So we will see. I can't help but feel he's going to have 1 more go, potentially, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. And we kind of feel the same with Simon Ladniak and Max Mugelli, who are also just separated by 4 tenths.
Sorry, Philippe Pret got out of shape there, and that has cost him some valuable 100s, and that's allowed Hanno to get a little bit closer. That sharp intake of breath from me was the reason for that. I could see that Philippe, and bearing in mind the drivers have qualified on these tyres, they've now raced on these tyres for jolly near 30 laps. The premium grip that they offered at the beginning of the qualifying session, or even at the beginning of the race, has a little bit gone away, hasn't it? Stand by, hold on to everything, because it's now or never for Hanno Laskowski, in my opinion, running into turn number 1. Is he close enough to dive to the inside? I don't think so.
No, so that means he has to find an unorthodox space to make the overtake. Meanwhile, Thomas Fleming has caught up with Franz Engstler. Not really important because they're in different classes, but just to underscore how quick Fleming has been, because he's caught up. And there is Laskowski on the inside. Oh, not quite there, but that was a very good attempt.
It's been very, very fair driving between the two of them, I have to say. And when Hanno has thought that, you know what, this could end up in contact, he's dialed out of the overtake, or dialed out of the attempt. So it's been brilliant to watch, as has been this textbook way of driving around the Circuit Riccardo Tormo that has been delivered to us with gift wrapping by this man. For Radicchio Automobili, Alessio Dono is going to take the first victory in the Ferrari Challenge 2023. Trofeo Pirelli, the checkered flag awaits the young superstar. He wins the race. And then it's going to be Thomas Fleming that will take P2, because he's got by this guy, who is the winner in Trofeo Pirelli Am, Franz Engstler. He returns and reigns once again, Nico, supreme.
He actually got back past Fleming in the final sector, so it's not quite sure what happened there. Maybe Fleming ran a little bit wide. Again, it's academic in terms of class, because Fleming finishes P2 in Pirelli. Max Mugelli holds off Ladniak for the entirety of the race, and that is big credit to him to earn a podium. And Philippe Pret is the man who now clinches P2 in the AMS. And Nicola Rossi almost got on terms with Pret and Laskowski at the end, so good driving from him. Owen, by dint of the time penalty, is overtaken after the finish line, almost, by Lucky Kara, who ends up P5 in class. That was a race. That was a race, and...
You're not wrong. I'm not going to disagree with you.
And drive of the day really is difficult. Dono, Engstler, Fleming, I mean, you've got so many choices.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Absolutely awesome racing that we have seen. For me, I guess it would go to Thomas Fleming, because it's just charged, Nico. Charged.
Yeah, well, but you can't take away from Alessio Dono, who 1.4 seconds in qualifying.
Yeah.
And if that looked like a mirage, the race proved that it was anything but. But, well, there we go. We've got a time penalty for Hanno Laskowski. Oh, and that is a post-race time penalty for Hanno Laskowski, and that means Nicola Rossi gets elevated to the podium.
Wow.
And that means we've got a new podium for the AMS. Franz Engstler, Philippe Pret, and Nicola Rossi, who inherits P3.
Wow, that is... Oh, that's a bitter pill for Hanno Laskowski, because I'm almost tempted to say, Nico, that yes, he probably ran a bit wide in terms of track limits, but he did that in trying to overtake Philippe Pret, and by doing that, delivered great entertainment for us. So that will be a bitter pill for him to swallow. But there we are. Rules is rules, as they say. So Nicola Rossi, well, continues his improvement trajectory by taking a podium here. But I can't help but have a little bit of sorrow feeling for Hanno Laskowski, Nico, forgive me. As Alessio Dono, like the superstar he is worshipped down there in the pit lane, deservedly so. It was kind of, we didn't see a lot of him in the race because there was kind of no point.
No, I mean, all you have to look is the development of the gap, and that was really impressive. And two very impressive winners in this race, but a very good race overall. Clean at the start, competitive throughout, magnificent drives, no glaring errors. And that is the marking of a great race here in the Trofeo Pirelli, and a good start to the season. Congratulations to Franz Engstler, the Zipperman, if you will.
Oh, I love to enjoy the celebrations that go on down there. I like to listen into it sometimes. They don't always bless us with English language, which is irritating, as they talk amongst themselves. But wow, what a race, Nico! What a race!
Ciao ragazzi, that's Max Mugelli, whose virtues you were extolling, and rightfully so. Takes a podium, couldn't hold off Thomas Fleming, but other than that, Szymon Ladniak tried and tried, but as you can see, finishes behind Max Mugelli. There are the results for you. Alessio Dono, Thomas Fleming, Max Mugelli, Szymon Ladniak, our top four in Pirelli, Engstler, Pret, Rossi, Laskowski, our top four in the M's. Lucky Kara, UK champion, very good showing as well.
Danilo Dal Favreau, then it was James Owen, Mohamed Hamdi, Dennis DiMarco, Kim Eriksson, Andreas Berg Sorensen, new to the Ferrari Challenge ahead of Nick Haller, Armin Arifpour and Gianmarco Marcialetti. And here you can see the confirmation of the category on the top three for Trofeo Pirelli, Dono, Fleming, Mugelli. And for the AM drivers, Engstler, Pret and Rossi. Let's take a look right now at our pit show. Here we can see then the car that was victorious, the driver that was victorious for Radici Automobili, Alessio Dono, who is ready to talk to us right now.
Here we are with the winner of race one of Trofeo Pirelli, Alessio Dono. Alessio, congratulations for the podium. Can you tell us more about your race today?
I am so very happy for my first win in this championship in this year. I infinitely thanks for this my team for the work, my family for the support, and my friend who follow me from home.
And Alessio, can you say something to your Italian fans?
Io saluto tutti gli italiani perché stanno nel mio cuore sempre, cercherò di vincere pure a Misano, quindi ci concentriamo adesso sulla gara di domani, sulla qualifica gara di domani, e poi da domani si pensa a Misano a vincere pure lì. Quindi ciao a tutti, rimanete connessi.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, what he was saying was, cheers very much. I really enjoyed that race, I think. Alessio Dono, then, great to hear from him. P1 for Trofeo Pirelli, and he says, you know, starting the season off with a race win, of course, is a great way to start the season. Up next, of course, we will be hearing from our Trofeo Pirelli AM winner, and that is Franz Engstler, and he is with Ludovica right now.
Franz, congratulations for the results and the podium. This year is a new challenge for you in Trofeo Pirelli. After won everything in Coppascella last year, is a good start for you from the top of the podium.
For sure, absolutely. Last year was an amazing season for our team, and now this year it's really a hard and a new challenge in the Pirelli Trofeo. But anyway, we had, the team did a brilliant job, give me a good car, and I can push till the last 3 laps. And then, I managed my gap, and just was important to finish the race. This is so important. I'm really, really happy for me, and especially also for my team.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Franz is always very generous in terms of thanking the team, as we are going to take a look at the highlights right now. Enjoy them. As the cars headed into turn number 1, then as you can see, it was nip and tuck as they went into turn number 1, but everyone getting through turn number 1 all absolutely safely, no problems at all. Plenty of shots were being taken on the pit wall, and Alessio Dono doing a very, very good job right at the start, seeing off the charge and challenge that was going to come from Franz Engstler. There was lots of movement throughout the race though, and Simon Ladniak was involved in quite a lot of it. However, there was going to be no mistaking the prowess of Franz Engstler leading in Trofeo Pirelli Am. These three, though, they were virtually welded together for almost the entirety of the race. And in the end, I mean, Thomas Fleming was just on a charge. And here we can see in replay how he made that move from being on board. And that wasn't the last move he was going to make as well, as he made his way past Danilo Del Fabio. And there you could see the number 37 car of Mohamed Hamdi going around. But for Alessio Dono and also for Franz Engstler, it was going to be a victorious Trofeo Pirelli Race 1. So in terms of race statistics, there you can see Thomas Fleming up 13 places. Nicola Rossi up 2. Fastest lap coming from Alessio Dono and Franz Engstler, respectively. Of course, in Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am, no surprises there. So those were the statistics. We're going to be going up to the podium next for the celebrations to get underway. So Michele Mabelli then is atop the podium, ready to bring the drivers out. For the top 3, here comes Max Mugelli, P3. P2 for Thomas Fleming. P1, of course, for Alessio Dono. And with the baseball caps being removed, the national anthem, I am sure, will play out momentarily.
Max Mugelli, il trofeo che le accredita in la terza posizione. Sì, il Eliseo Donno. Abbiamo Alessio.
Well, Alessio Rivera here to make the trophy presentations. P3 for Max Mugelli.
Alessio Rovera, il pilota ufficiale del GT Driver, entregará el trofeo al segundo clasificado.
P2 then for Thomas Fleming. What a brilliant drive, Thomas. And top step of the podium for Alessio Dono. Alessio is, of course, one of our Competizione GT drivers. Jolly good driver as well. So, brilliant podium then for Trofeo Pirelli. And Lucio Vajani then from Trofeo Pirelli, from the Pirelli Motorsport Organization. Lucio Vagani making the Pirelli presentation to Alessio Dono as well. The drivers all get together on the top step of the podium for their photographs. And here's the national anthem. But then the next race is for who is going to get the champagne opened the quickest. So, top step of the podium for the photographs, first of all. Max Mugelli, come on, Thomas. That's it, move in. And with your trophies. And good shots then right now of the top 3 cars. Max Mugelli for CDP and Eureka competition, taking P3. P2, and what a drive it was from the HRO in driver Thomas Fleming. And then no mistaking our race winner in terms of his dominance in qualifying and the race. Alessio Dono for Radici Automobili. So we're standing by. Trofeo Pirelli AM podium to come. But in Drivers' Championship points, Alessio Dono then on 18 points, Thomas Fleming on 13, Max Mugelli on 11 points. Here comes the Trofeo Pirelli AM podium then with Nicola Rossi P3, Philippe Pret P2, and Franz Engstler. Well, he knows the way to the top step of the podium, that's for sure. And once again, Alessio Rivera, the Competizione GT driver, will make the trophy presentations to our drivers. First of all, to Nicola Rossi. And then to Philippe Pret. And well done, Philippe. And now, with the first winner's trophy of the season in Trofeo Pirelli AM, it's Franz Engstler. And probably ain't going to be the last one in this season. Well done to Engstler Motorsport. And there indeed is Luca Engstler, Franz's son. And Lucio Vigani making the Pirelli trophy presentation to Franz Engstler also. So the anthem fades away, and the drivers will all get together for the photograph opportunity on the top step of the podium. They'll all get together, Nicola Rossi and Philippe Pret and Franz Engstler. All smiles. Well done, gents. And the top 3 cars then. Nicola Rossi, great job, podium for Kessel Racing, P3. Long-standing campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge is Philippe Pret, and he takes P2 for Formula Racing. And then getting back to the winning ways that he showed so much of last year, Franz Engstler elevated to Trofeo Pirelli AM this year. The winning stays the same for Charles Pozzi GT Racing, Franz Engstler victorious. The championship standings then in Trofeo Pirelli AM look this way. 17 points for Franz Engstler, Philippe Pret on 12, and Nicola Rossi on 10 points. The top 8 you can see on the first page of the points then for Drivers' Championship for Trofeo Pirelli AM. Of course, those drivers have another race to come tomorrow. Before that, they have their qualifying. The next round of Ferrari Challenge after this weekend comes up in Misano. Going to join us for that. So let's take a look at just some of the wonderful images from here in Valencia and from us in our commentary positions here. From all of us, thank you so much for watching. Please follow us on @Ferrari Races. We'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.